Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another PGR reaction. Today we have Traces of the Flames as requested by Try Hunter in the comments of the last video. This is one that I've seen around quite a few times in the comments in the past and just never got to the top of the list. But I'm very interested in seeing what Lucia's character theme sounds like. So I guess without further ado, let's go! I'll be real, not the genre I thought it would be. It's weirdly fitting though, isn't it? I guess in hindsight, I should have expected something kind of like this. It's not like she's a big, epic character, so I don't know what I was expecting. I really like that, like, whip crack snare sample, whatever that is in there. It's actually kind of nice how thin it is. Ooh. It's a very nice little melody there. Also, I love how strong the bass is here. It's not getting buried in the mix. That's very nice. Oh, building up to something. So it's that type of song. I don't feel this one exploding to anything more grand than this from here. But it continues the drive, you know? It doesn't let the song die out until it needs to. Yeah, I did not expect that genre, weirdly enough. Like, again, hindsight probably should have. I don't know what I expected outside of this, but because, like, it fits, right? It fits Lucia entirely. It's just not, I guess, my first instinct of what her sound would be. But the second I give it any degree of thought, I'm like, oh yeah, that tracks. It really does. I like that a lot. All right, so this song is pretty simple at the start, but there's a reason why. This song evolves in a way that is natural to the story it's telling, and it obviously shares that with the music, which doesn't always happen, but should always happen. So this song kind of starts more broad, but also in a way that matches the emotional tone of the track. Like, you're going from a place that is much more spread out, much more distant on the emotional aspect, and then as we go on in the song, things get a lot closer together. Like, all the chords get very claustrophobic in the center, and that, I think, is supposed to signify this closeness in the song as that relationship starts to really find its own way and tell the story of the track. So I think that's beautiful just right out the gate. But let's start out with this song. So we start with A, we go down to D, we go up to B minor, and then we go up to C. You can also add a seventh on there if you want that extra spice in there. And then down to G, back down to D, up to C again, and then A+4 into an A. And that's a very nice way to wrap all this around. This basically happens verbatim the same way again, but where this changes is literally a key change. So when we come back around to that next A+4, which I love, into an A, we then go to B flat, not B minor. Now we're in a completely different thing. And this is where the song starts to get very claustrophobic. We have this B flat, A minor, obviously very different from the A, very different emotion. This closeness kind of comes in tandem with an emotional shift in the song that feels a little bit sadder, but also that closeness feels strangely more familiar than the rest of the song had been up to this point. This song up to this point, like I was showing you on the keyboard, the song starts out with this A and then a D drop, and then we come back up a lot closer to where we were before, and then we go a little bit higher, you know, like that's the distance we have in this song. That's what makes this thing feel so much more like there's that breath between these chords. You could go from here to here and do something very similar with this, you know, but that is a completely different energy. This goes way in a different emotional direction from. You can feel that settling when you have a song playing a chord on a lower octave. It brings the emotion down with you. I talk about this quite a bit, but it's very, very true. And that's what this song is doing. But when we hit that key change, all of that changes literally entirely and basically immediately. Because when we do that, we go from a B flat to an A minor, then to a D minor. And this time we are going up as far as I could tell while I was listening to this. Back down to this B flat again, up to the C. We're kind of revisiting that as like a nice in-between chord. And then we'd go back up to the D minor. And now it's like, okay, emotionally, we are so much more constricted in these chords. That's why I was like, I'm pretty sure that the D minor happens up here because the energy of the song condenses itself into a much closer sonic space. And you can really feel that. Again, the breadth of this song is much more confined at this point. When we started, we could feel that drop down into the lower D. And there are still a few like individual notes that there are a lot of sevenths going on here, a lot of seventh chords, but not necessarily those specifically. A lot of those extra notes that would be causing the seventh would be played on like an octave jump above. Because like, for example, if I'm playing that A from the very beginning, there is an A7th on it. So you add that G in there for the nice A7th. But then that's not always what's happening in this song. We sometimes do visit those higher octaves. You can jump up one or even two, and now you have a completely different thing to hear, but it still causes the same sonic relationship in the chord. So it's not like you're playing this anymore, you'd be playing this, and you can feel how much that separates everything in the song. Just that one chord pretty much showcases how that would happen and why these sorts of relationships between like the A and the D there, that big jump matters a lot for how the song feels. And again, this song does that all the way through. We also get a bunch of other things, like it shifts to using like the A flat, the E flat. We even have a C sharp in here. So we end up having a C sharp, I'm pretty sure a C minor somewhere in there as well. There's so much of that, just like we had the thing with the B minor and the B flat. There might even be a B in there, you know, like there's enough of this changing hands and where these notes are kind of settling, and especially with that separation I mentioned earlier, how they may be playing it on an octave or two above the main chord, that creates this kind of sandwich of emotion that's really hard to dissect sometimes. You can tell that there's that distance in there and there's that longing in there for these to get closer. But when we have moments like that B flat in there and that changing it to an A minor, and then we start to getting into the D minor instead of the D, we have this emotional change up in the song that brings everything in a much more condensed fashion, like I've been saying this whole time. So this song, what I'm trying to get at here, despite all of my yapping, is that this track is a beautiful signifier of that longing journey, that beginning of we are too far away emotionally, personally, we don't get each other. I don't really see how this could work. However, that is supposed to be framed with Lucia. I don't know her entire backstory. I've only played a smidgen of the game, so I can't tell you that. But at the same time, I can feel it in this song, that there is a distance here, an inherent longing for that distance to condense so she can get closer to somebody else, or somebody else can get closer closer to her, whoever's the one putting the arm out to be like, no, not right now. I feel like that would be Lucia, just given her personality. I feel like she's the type to be a little bit more standoffish in that way, and maybe she's singing this to you or the people that she is trying to work with, and she's like basically just relenting in this personality failure of her own, or what she perceives as that, and she's struggling to find out exactly where she belongs in this relationship with the rest of these people. She might be suffering from a little bit of like an imposter syndrome situation, like feeling like she doesn't deserve what she has here, and as the song gets a little bit more closer and she gets more comfortable, that's when the song does, you know, and it's reflecting it like that. And we do separate again, and we do get a little bit weird with those other ones, like we do visit those like flats in there, and like those are a different energy. The song changes like 3 different times. I don't think we're changing the entire key that many times, maybe twice, especially on that B flat transition. But what happens in this song is basically it complicates something that should be a comparatively easy chord progression and brings you into a completely different understanding of how the song is written, because it's no longer this simple chord progression from an A to a D to a B minor to a C, even separating down into that A. I love that, because that is the sort of thing that adds that dissonance in that emotional journey that the song is having, that makes me go, damn, they're trying to tell you something about this character. They're trying to open up a door when they add dissonance that they then immediately follow. That's why I love things like the sus4 chords so much, because they resolve naturally into the full chord of what they came from, whatever their root is. So A sus4 resolves into A, and D sus4 resolves into D, etc., etc., etc. So when you have those in there, it's creating a dissonant moment for an immediate answer. And sometimes they don't land in that immediate answer, and they do go somewhere else, but it's most often used as a way to end a sentence emotionally. And I think that that's what this song is trying to do with that whole A sus4 into the A, and then immediately transitioning into a completely different key. We basically get this entirely different emotional journey that we were only hinted at up to this point, and then everything just evolves from there, and it gets a little bit more convoluted down the road too, just like any relationship would. So I think this is a gorgeous song. Lyrically, it does kind of help out the whole like journey of the character, and it makes it more clear why she's going through this, but it's still ambiguous enough that I can't place who or what exactly she's talking about. I'm sure that that's more clear if you play through her personal stories and you understand that aspect of her character. I have not gotten through that stuff, so I don't know, but I can still feel the intent of the music behind it. And I think that that's beautiful in and of itself, and why the essence of it sounding kind of like an anime intro fits so well for her in hindsight, because it's like, man, yeah, that would make a lot of sense for a character that's going through this emotional journey to be backed by a genre like that. They've done this before in PGR with other songs, usually like, I mean, even a few weeks ago, I did one that was like the multiple characters singing together, and it was like their big emotional moment that they had before things got really bad, you know, and it's like just a little bit more of that optimism before all of the world fell into hell. And it's like, okay, cool, but that's the sort of emotional journey I'm hearing from this song as well. It's very similar to that. So I get it. It makes a lot of sense. But also, I've been yapping about this for far too long, and probably too many of you guys are like, oh God, could you please shut up? So I will. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed all of my yapping today and you want to request something else from PGR, by all means, drop in the comments below, and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.